Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to RJ's for today's edition of Lunch with Coach Coleman. Last week, UAPB took on Oklahoma Panhandle State at Golden Lions Stadium in their season opener, with the Aggies edging the Golden Lions 20-16. This week, the Golden Lions will travel to Alcorn State, Mississippi, to take on Alcorn State on Thursday, September 15th at Jack Spinks Marino Castle Stadium, and a 6:30 p.m. start, broadcasted live on ESPNU. In their last outing, Alcorn State pulled out a 21-18 win over Alabama State at Jack Spinks Marino Castle Stadium. At this time, we ask the players to introduce themselves to the media.
Willie Duncan, senior linebacker from Detroit, Michigan.
Dante McDonald, junior running back, living in Fayetteville, North Carolina.
All right, at this time, we ask the players to talk about last week's contest and talk about facing Alcorn this week. Mr. Duncan?
Last week, was pretty disappointing, but progress. We're going to stop our mistakes, the penalties, just mental errors, critical errors, and, just staying focused, breaking down film and building on top of that.
I believe the big thing on offense for us was, we were moving the ball, but we had a lot of penalties that were negating some of our drives. We were getting downfield, not finishing, penalties shooting us in the foot. So we got to work on this week, just staying clean and capitalizing on the other team's turnovers or mistakes, and sustaining drives and finishing at the end, getting touchdowns.
All right, at this time, we'll hear from the top dog himself, head coach Coach Coleman.
Thank you, Ronnie. I want to thank Ms. Nikki once again here at RJ's for allowing us to be here for this press conference. Like the guys said, to my left and to my right, very disappointing loss to Panhandle. We knew it would be a tough football game. We discussed it last week. Even though they are a Division II school, they're player-wise, they're Division I, and they played well. They came in very high. They had just taken it on the chin against Sam Houston the week before, and they came in ready to play against us. They made some plays, and unfortunately for us, we didn't make the plays that we had to. I thought it was a two-half game for us. We had an opportunity the first half to really put this game out of reach. One of our better kickers in the SWAC, Jamie Gillen, he had a rough day. He had a rough day. We got down in scoring territory in red zone a couple of times, and unfortunately for us, we weren't able to capitalize on that, and that's kind of set us back. Could have been a total different ball game if we made the one extra point, but unfortunately, like I said, Jamie just had a bad game, and he'll rebound. He's working hard this week to rebound from it, and he will rebound from it because he is one of the better kickers in the league. There's a lot of positive things that we can talk about today. Even though we lost that ball game, there's some things that we can build on. One of the things is that Brandon Duncan has not thrown an interception in 2 games. Last year, that was one of the things that hindered us from winning football games. We turned the football over. Right now, we've had only 1 turnover in this game and 1 turnover the last game. So at this time, we're -1 because we were able to take the ball away from Tennessee State last week, the week before last, however you want to look at it. And so we're -1 and hoping to go up into plus territory. The defense played well enough the first half. At the end of the half, just looking at the stats, and I'm a stat person, Panhandle had 24 total offensive plays for 86 total yards. They finished the game with 343 yards, and we gave up a 55-yarder. And if we don't give up the 55-yarder, which we're in man-to-man coverage, and we don't give that up, they'll finish the game with 173 yards. So that's something that we can build on. Dante ran the ball extremely well, had over 100 yards rushing. We can build on that. That's one thing that we do pride ourselves on, and that's running the football. Cody Swain had over 10 catches, or had 10 catches in this ball game. We can build on that. Willie Duncan, he had 8.5 tackles in this game, along with Alcorn. Chiffon Alcorn had 8.5 tackles. we can build on that. So, yes, we lost the ball game. We're still a very young football team. We've got 2 guys on the offensive line that played for us last year. Everybody else we've kind of put in. That's including the tight end. They're doing a good job. I thought they played hard this week. We've had a good week of practice since Sunday. And we're going to go to Alcorn and give them everything we've got to win this football game. And I think we're ready to do that, to get back on track.
All right, at this time, we open up for questions from the media. Yes, Mr. Tim Stubbs.
Coach, you mentioned stat-wise, really on paper, especially that first half, it was not telling of the score, and sometimes sports in general can be bizarre like that. What did you tell your team at halftime coming into that second half where you guys played a lot better? Penalties continue to be, I know, a big bugaboo, and we'll get into that in a minute with my follow-up question about a key play in the fourth quarter. But talk about what you said to your team at halftime. Basically,
what I told them at halftime was we've taken the absolute best. I felt like their best, what they had to offer. With the exception on the scoreboard, giving up a cheap touchdown to them that first half. We had a busted coverage and gave them that touchdown. I thought the defense played well. We did everything we wanted to do versus with our offense. We ran the football extremely well. The quarterback protected. He threw the football. We did have some pressures on him. Like I said, we are a very young offensive line, but we did a lot of good things. And I told them, hey, we've taken the best. All we got to do is go out and do what we said we would do, and that's finish. It worked exactly like I wanted it to come back out the second half with the football because we deferred. And that third quarter, the first drive, we drove it straight down and we scored. So, I was feeling pretty good at that point. But unfortunately for us, it didn't last for the entire game.
You mentioned finishing drives, and I know that had to stick out, especially in this game, because from 20 to 20, you were getting down there awfully quick and getting big chunks of yards from pretty much every play, mixing the ball up, mixing the pass plays and run plays up. I know that was frustrating, especially knowing that Jamie is a good kicker and he's improved. And I know that I'm sure he was down on himself after missing 2 chip shots for him for sure.
Yes.
How disheartening is that, or what can you do to help fix that as far as the red zone issues and to finish those drives?
If we had to do it all over again, I would put Jamie on the field in those situations because he's that good of a kicker. We all have bad games, and we didn't anticipate him having the bad games. I thought the offense moved the ball extremely well. The defense stopped him when we absolutely had to stop him. So when we put Jamie in that situation, I'm thinking those are points on the board. And for him to miss the 2 field goals and then the extra point, because if you look at it, Tim, this way, if we make just the extra point, now it's a 17-20 ball game. And instead of in the fourth quarter having to go for a touchdown, all we've got to do is get in position to kick a field goal and tie the game and possibly go into overtime. So, and I think if we went into overtime, we definitely come out with a win on that. But that just shows you how important every point is. But as far as Jamie will rebound. He's working hard. He worked hard the last 2 days. I saw him yesterday after practice. He's getting extra kicks in. So he apologized to the team. He apologized to me, which he didn't have to because we all have bad games. And he will rebound, and he'll win some games for us this year.
And he did punt the ball very well.
He punted the ball, average long of 55, I believe it was, and average 45. So he did punt the ball extremely well.
Now, your team last year, third quarters were tough,
yes,
to say the least. You guys came out and punched them in the mouth and really got the ground game going with Mr. McDonald here, and we saw Terry Montgomery.
Yes.
Get some playing time really for the first time, getting a chance to see him, see what he can do, some little swing passes in the flat. Talk about him a little bit and Mr. Montgomery in that third quarter.
We have a stable of running backs right now with Dante. Well, he told me to call him DT, so I got to call him DT. with DT, you've got Terry Montgomery, you've got Keyshawn Williams, you've got Jamal Gladden. We've got a host of running backs at this time. George Munson, that could be playing for us. A lot of them are getting some action, not a lot of actions like Mr. McDonald is getting. But all these guys have the ability to play for us right now. And that's what we want to do. We want to utilize each and every one of them. All of them have something special. Dante, he's the bigger of the backs. So we're utilizing his size and speed on first downs. And then we'll bring some of the other guys like Terry Montgomery in on some of the passing downs and slip them out of the backfield when they're locked up man-to-man on safeties and linebackers and utilize their quickness in that situation. But all these guys are very valuable to our football team for what we're trying to do, and that's run the football first and then throw to them if we need to.
Key play in the fourth quarter, you guys seemed to be in control. Had a chance to tack on some more points when you're up 16-7. Kind of stayed there for a little while, midway through the fourth. Take us back to that play. And I know you can't really get into officiating too much, but huge play, chance,
yes.
Scoop and score. You hit their quarterback, True Love. I believe it was it Woodard?
Yes.
Woodard scooped and scored from 50 out. Not saying it would have put it on ice, but it would have got close. Had a chance to go up 23-7 there with just maybe a possession or two left. Coach, talk about that play. It's a 14-point swing now that we look back at it, and it turned out to be a huge play in the game.
I thought it was a huge play. That's what we pride ourselves on as a defensive unit, and we talk about it in practice and in meetings. We want to score on defense. We want to help the offense out as much as possible. So when we get this play by Woodard, who I think Tashad Charity sacks him, fumbles, Woodard picks it up, takes off running, scores. Then I look on the ground for flags, and sure enough, I see one. Now, the call was holding, defensive holding. Watching it on film, questionable call.
Was that on the pass route? I believe it was. I think they called it on Odom. Was it on the pass route that they called a hold, and it negated the
yes,
the play? Okay.
Yeah, they said he held him before. This is the official's interpretation of it. He said he held him before he got sacked. We're not NFL. You can touch receivers down the field,
right,
past 5 yards. So I thought it was a questionable call, and definitely a bad call at the time of what happened. And I thought it would have been the touchdown to ice the game myself. But unfortunate for us, that penalty negated it, and we had to come back out and play.
Good question, Willie. Now after that play, it's on the defense. They come down and score, make it 16-13, and now it's a game again. Talk about that, your mindset as the leader of the defense, and were they doing anything? Because they moved the ball a lot better in the second half. Were they doing anything to confuse you guys, or talk about that challenge there in the second half?
It was nothing to confuse us. Like I said before, just mental errors at a critical time, which really hurt us, and that was that.
And after they cut it to 16-13, you still felt pretty good about having the game within hand, Coach. And it turned out to be a tough loss, and you just kind of ran out of time. And I know you hate using those timeouts early. You'd like to hang on to them as much as you can, and that, not having those timeouts late, definitely, they come back to bite you. And that's part of those mistakes you talk about, where the play clock's running down, having to use a timeout. I know you'd love to have those back. Oh,
absolutely. I mean, you want to try to hold on to your timeouts as long as possible. But the way the game was going, we had to use them to kill the clock a couple of times to make sure that we could continue our drive. But I think it boiled down to Tim still, and it's not pointing the finger toward Jamie, but if we made that one extra point, it's a total different football game.
Yeah. Jamie
has a very strong leg. 48 yards is nothing for him. That's a chip shot for him. So, if we could have gotten the ball to the 30, the game plan would have been getting the ball to the 30 opposed to trying to get it into the end zone. I think we kicked that field goal and put us into overtime. So that extra point hurt us a lot.
Well, here you are, you're 0-2, but the ultimate goal is to win a SWAC championship.
Yes.
Clean slate, 0-0, Thursday night. talk about what you're preaching to your team right now.
Well, right now, you know, there's still a lot of parity in the league. I think there was only 2 SWAC schools that won football games this past weekend, and they played against other SWAC schools. So right where we are, we hadn't played any SWAC games. We're starting our SWAC play right now, so we're still in the ball game. We had 2 great tune-up games, which we could have won them both, but they really don't count toward the SWAC, which we know, and you know, it starts right now. The guys came out on Sunday. They came out yesterday. We had good practices both days. We'll finish up today, get on the road tomorrow, and we'll go and we'll play against Alcorn. And we'll come back, and we're taking it one game at a time. And whoever it is after that, we'll take that game. But right now, our main focus is going in, playing Alcorn. Alcorn's still a good football team. I was talking to the Mr. Hardy, the athletic director. They're not quite as good as they've been the last 2 years, but they're still a good football team. So we're going to go give it everything we've got with our young football team, and I think we're poised to do something great.
All right, if there are not any more questions for Coach or the players, just a reminder, go to Lions fans, your Lady Lions soccer team will host Oklahoma State on Sunday, September 18th at 1 p.m. at Pumphrey Stadium. Also, your Lady Lions volleyball team will have back-to-back matches at H.O. Clemens Arena on Friday, September 16th and Saturday, September 17th, and a 6:30 start both days. UAPB will take on Texas Southern on Friday, September 16th in their home opener, and will take on Prairie View on Saturday, September 17th. So come on out and root your Lady Lions soccer team and volleyball team on to victory. Also, ladies and gentlemen, the UAPB Department of Athletics will hold its 2nd annual Legends and Legacies in the evening with NFL stars on Thursday, September 22nd at the Clinton Presidential Center in Little Rock, Arkansas. For more information, contact the UAPB Office of Development at 870-575-8701. At this time, let's give Miss Nikki Walters a round of applause for hosting us today. Once again, thank you for coming and having lunch with us. Until we meet again, keep those emails and Twitter alerts coming in. And have a wonderful Golden Lion Day.